You're listening to Coog Radio. Listen live online at coogradio.org.
This broadcast contains explicit content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to episode 1 of Earworms.
Croaked on campus.
Yes, sir. We have many things to discuss today.
All frog related, I hope.
Mostly frog related. Some toad related. We'll talk about the difference between those, I'm sure. Have you noticed the issue that I am approaching here with this topic today?
Yeah, no, there are tons of frogs. I feel like we see more and more every week that are just squished on the sidewalk.
We walk down, if you're in the quad and you go towards the lab building, that particular path, there is almost always a squished frog on that path. And I'm thinking, why? And what is it? And who is she? And where did she come from? Does she know things? Let's find out.
I mean, what? Are they all the same type of frog?
Mostly the ones that I've seen have been the Pacific Northwest tree frog, which is what you see when you think of a frog around here.
I don't know if that's what I think when I see a frog.
That's the Pacific tree frog.
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm like, that's a frog.
Yeah.
And then it stops there.
But
That's
that
where
kind,
my train of thought ends.
That kind where you think, like if I said frog and you thought of an image of a frog, that's the type of frog.
I feel like I
Pacific
think
tree frog.
bullfrog when I...
Do you?
Yeah, when someone just talks about frogs, that's like my first
Big
go-to.
old bullfrog.
Yeah, they're probably one of my favorite type of frogs.
I haven't seen any bullfrogs around campus.
I know. I feel like I've lived here for a very long time and I still have yet to see like a bullfrog in the wild. You know?
I haven't seen a bullfrog, but I've seen their tadpoles plenty of times.
Yeah, their tadpoles are everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
Go down to Salmon Creek and
Yep.
you can find them in that little pool next to the bridge.
You pluck them out by hand and
I've never harassed the tadpoles.
You should start. It's a wonderful pastime. It's one of my favorite pastimes.
You just go in. I guess you did pick up a caterpillar
I
yesterday.
did.
You
I
just
did.
love to harass the wildlife.
I do. Nature flocks to me. They know who I am.
Yeah.
But the Pacific Northwest tree frog, they're the ones that I've seen mostly that get run over by the golf carts. That's my leading theory, is that they get run over by the golf carts and not foot traffic, because they're nocturnal, so they're out at night doing their business. They I think they're drawn to the lights on the buildings because that attracts all the bugs. So they hop from their little sheltery area in the forest by that ravine, and then they hop to the lights, they eat the bug, so good, and then they are on their way back in the morning, and then they get clotheslined by a golf cart from the maintenance people.
I don't know. How many golf carts do you think are driving around at night though?
Not night, like early in the morning.
Oh, I guess that.
Because think about it. People wake up before the sun goes up. So
somehow.
Even, I know, I don't, I can't. But frogs, they know, they have their little alarm clock in their head. They know it's about to be daytime, which is their nighttime. So they'll start their journey back home.
Yeah.
And then they get absolutely squashed by the golf cart. And frogs, they hop fast. Like if you have ever tried to catch one, they kind of...
Oh, so many times.
You know.
I feel like it's not a matter of catching them speed-wise, it's grabbing them, you know?
Yeah,
like
they're slippery. They're slippery. But, you know, that doesn't help you very much, being slippery when there's like I don't know.
There's a tire coming at you?
How much would you say a golf cart weighs?
I guess it depends on the golf cart. If you go down to Arizona, actually, they have like the super tricked out golf carts in the old people home.
We don't have those.
Actually, I feel like I've seen at least one.
Do we have super tricked out golf carts on campus?
I mean, we could. I feel like lately when I've been driving around town, I've seen more and more people like towing golf carts somewhere. And I don't know what that's about. I want to find out like this spot where all the golf carts are ending
Who's
up.
supplying the golf carts is what I want to know. But I really think it's that and not foot traffic, because the frogs are not out during the day unless you're going and looking for them.
Well, okay, so let me ask you, do you think that like the grounds, I guess it's dark, they might not see them, but if they did, do you think that the groundskeepers or whoever it is running over the frogs would see them and feel bad that they hit one? Like they feel a little like bump and squish.
I'm sure they can't feel it.
You don't think they can?
No, I'm sure it's either completely not on their minds, or this happens a lot in places where there's lots of snakes and like things that cross the road in general, but people will intentionally swerve to hit something.
I was just about to say, do you think they treat it like, you're
Like a
you're
video
letting your
game.
intrusive thought
Like
win when you're driving
GTA.
on the highway? Yeah, you're just like, oh, there's a person, and you turn.
Unfortunately, I don't know the attitudes of our particular groundskeepers, but it is a phenomenon that people will swerve to hit stuff on purpose.
I'd like to think that if they did hit them and they realized it, they're like, oh no, what have I done? They get out of the golf cart, they drop to their hands and knees.
Just crying over the squishy corpse of a frog.
Yeah, I mean, they don't do anything because obviously we see it later.
Yeah,
in the
we
day.
do. They should, out of respect, pick up the frog,
should bury
return it
it.
to the ecosystem in some way. Just throw it off the bridge
Just
into the
chuck it
ravine.
the woods.
Yeah, it's better than leaving it.
Where do you think? You think there's like a frog cemetery somewhere around here?
I
that,
hope
like,
so.
Like we only see the ones that they miss, and then there's a lot of other
No,
ones.
it's
that
not
they
the ones
catch.
they miss. It's the ones that they hate. They don't want to. They want to give them a pauper's burial. They don't give them a proper burial.
What are the frogs doing to these groundkeepers?
They
making
just
them hate them.
hate them. But that's those are the ones that I've seen on campus the most, is the Pacific Northwest tree frog. I could give you the scientific name, but I know that I would butcher it. It's
Come on, let's hear it. Wait, okay. Give me the first letter, and I'll try to guess it.
P.
Okay, I don't want to guess it.
P.S.
Pseudo frog.
No. Okay.
Was
it is.
you the next?
No, it's E.
Yeah, I'm lost. I don't.
I believe it's Pseudacris regila, I believe is how you would pronounce it.
I never would have thought there was going to be a D in that.
Right?
Word. You never expect the D.
If you frogs, this is a fun point that I didn't think we'd bring up, but reptiles and amphibians have two penises.
Do we really want to get into this topic?
We can. They have, well,
All
it's
reptiles?
not, yeah. All reptiles and amphibians.
How come you don't see them?
'Cause
Like, there's, one is,
How
they're
come
pretty
people don't see
concealable.
other people's? They got them covered up.
Well,
They're
yeah, we
wearing
got
pants.
But when's the last time you saw a frog with pants and you're like, that man's got 2 wieners under there? Like, you don't think that on a normal basis.
No, they're usually like,
They suck 'em out.
yeah. They only bring them out when they want to breed, which is what humans do, but with pants.
Yeah, but we don't suck it up.
They have like built-in underwear. They just are decent 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When would be like, I guess when they're breeding is the one time
Yeah.
you catch them with their
Or if you
metaphorical
pick
pants
them
down.
up and like prod them enough in the right spot.
Just start tickling. They're like, and then they sprout it out. They're like, no, it's not that time
Sprout
of year.
them out,
Oh,
not
yeah.
it.
So do all frogs and animals or reptiles have that? Or is
Yeah.
it like even crocodiles?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never.
They're called hemipenes. Don't laugh at that.
Why is that the name? Why is it hemi?
Think about like hemisphere. It's like half, right? So they're like 2 smaller ones instead of 1 big one. So it's a because hemisphere implies like half. So if you think of a normal penis, it's like 2 halves of a penis.
So if you look at it, it's just like a normal one that's split down the
No,
middle.
it's like 2 individual ones.
I don't like that. Let's move on. Let's
Okay.
move on from this topic. Making
So-
me uncomfortable. I'm starting to get bad thoughts in my head about what would happen if I turned into
Turned into a
a
frog.
frog or yeah. I guess while we're on the topic, what if you could choose like one frog to be? What frog would that be? And I have a follow-up.
Are we saying frogs and toads or just frogs?
Yeah, like under the whole
Umbrella.
frog umbrella. When you say frog and people see a toad, they don't think, oh, that's a toad over a frog. They just think frog first.
Some
and
people
then they
do. I
distinct-
do.
Then they, well, yeah, but when you first, like, if you saw it from like 100 feet away, you're not like
I wouldn't
toad.
see
You're
it,
like,
girl.
you're just like frog, and then you get closer and you're like, oh, that's toad. I'm talking about that whole just general appearance. Funny shaped head, big legs, little posturing arms.
I think I would say cane toad, not because they're highly invasive, but because they're silly and they have not venom. They have poison glands on the back of their nog. They've got like 2 bulbous like venom sacs behind their eyes.
What do they do with that?
If something bites them, they
They just squirt it out?
yeah.
I always thought about that because when we talked about evolution and biology with Dr. Turner.
We love Dr. Turner.
An amazing professor. He talked about how they evolve. It's just mutation, and then it's like whoever has the greatest survival rate basically passes on those genes. I always thought that's kind of a bad way to do it, because what happens, you'd think that the people who have these like built-in defense mechanisms to where it only activates when they're attacked, they would be the ones to die.
That's true.
Because it's like, how do they pass it on if they got freaking croaked first and then they died, and then, oh no, they passed on the death gene because it doesn't work unless they get attacked.
That's very true. I did not think of that.
I guess thought about that.
Enough of them survived the initial croaking.
Like they all kind of reproduced before they got croaked.
Or one of them gets half croaked and escapes with one less leg.
Like, he just like limps away. He's like, I need to breathe and pass this along.
I already told you. I mean, the frog. I mean, when you hear, people are always like, they do this with crickets too. Like any birds, any animal, they're like, the beautiful song, the beautiful sound, the frogs croaking at night, the crickets chirping, the birds chirping. They are saying, come have sex with me. Pretty men or pretty women, come say hello.
Do you think that like, so there's been prior species of animals that make noise that just sounded awful? Like you know, I mean, some people find like frogs. Croaks. Yeah, they find their croaking or like the crickets chirping.
Yeah.
Some people find that annoying, but do you ever think that there was one that was like, this is like a horrible sound?
Like a specific frog or
just an animal throughout history?
That's what cicadas are, girl. People hate the sound of cicadas, and all they're saying is the same. They're saying, come breed with me.
So okay.
That's what they're saying.
I don't know if I believe that.
But the ones that we have,
because not every animal is like that. Not every animal has that, like every time they make a noise they're saying, hey, I'm open.
That's true, but a lot of them are.
I've heard that like cougars, this is actually pretty relevant because WSU, you know, cougars. But that whenever they make noises or certain noises, they're in the treetops, they're like alerting other cougars.
Yeah, you're talking about the bird chirp that they do. It literally, it sounds like a or like a little bird, like a I can't make a bird noise. You know, like a bird sound, like a chirp, like a don't, you're making fun of me now. It's like a little, it's high pitched. It's just literally like a chirp, like but
more chirpy.
Yeah. But it's a cougar alerting other cougars of its presence and that like it's stalking something. But you would never know.
Well, if I asked you, when did you learn that? Like, when did you learn that cougars did that?
I learned it in the field this summer.
This summer?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like that's around the time I also learned it. It might have been a few months before, but it was around that time frame. As soon as I heard that, I had this thought, thinking back to like every time I'd been in the woods and I'd heard a bird. Noise. I was like, I'm having this like fear, even though I'm in like my house, you know, reading about this. I'm just having this thought back to, oh my God, was there a cougar when I was in the woods that one time?
Girl, if it was, you'd never know, or you'd be dead. So
yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of moments where people come across animals and the animals know that the people, I mean, animals always know people are there most of the time.
People are oblivious compared to animals.
How much do you think that like that happens on a normal day-to-day basis?
I mean, it's probably, in my lifetime, I haven't gone camping very much, but if I were to say how many times I've gone camping versus how many times there was a quote-unquote dangerous animal in the area, is probably every time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what type of places were you going to? You weren't going to like
Silver Lake
and
like
cave,
cougar country. Oh yeah, I'm going to this super cool campsite called Bear Death Alley. You will die. There are wolves. There are cougars. You're guaranteed to die here. It's a really long name.
It's a really long name. I don't know why they don't acronym it or something. Oh man.
But back to the task at hand. The frogs on campus.
Yeah. Let's go back to that.
Wait. But so I've seen the Pacific Northwest tree frogs. The only other ones that I've seen here on campus are the northern red-legged frog, which I'm very familiar with.
Oh yeah, I saw the video of you holding it.
If I can play this really quick.
Peyton and Nick, pull that up.
No, I can just play the audio of it right here. So I picked up a red-legged frog. I was on someone's property. I was allowed to be there. And this is a defense mechanism that a lot of frogs have, but these ones specifically for some reason do it.
I think I would not personally, like if I were to choose a defense mechanism, I wouldn't choose that one, but I like that one so much more.
Well, they haven't heard it yet, so.
I want to see you throw her in the water.
No, I want to keep her for a little bit and then I want to go at the end of the day.
Oh.
That's how I do it here. I don't even know how much it's picking up.
Okay, you can turn it.
So anyways, a lot of frogs will scream at you if you pick them up, and all they're doing is constricting their throat and then just like releasing all the air in their lungs. They don't have vocal cords like we do. Like when they have their throat sacs croaking, like it's not a vibration like ours is. It's like an air situation.
It's like a balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening when they scream like that. But
are there any other animals that do that?
Geckos.
Geckos.
For geckos, it's a vocal thing. It's not like an air thing. But I have many, many, many geckos, and half of them have screamed at me at least once. You're like going, and especially my viper geckos, you go in, I like spray them, I give them water, I feed them, I care for them like they're my children. And then what I get back is them going, and it's great. It's so good.
Do you think, do you think it'd be, how funny would it be if you went to go move your gecko one day and you picked it up instead of that squeak? It was just like, oh, it was like, oh.
It was just like,
like a really deep throaty.
like a whole man.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey,
you better stop that.
Put me down.
Do it.
I would probably scream. I scream when my geckos scream at me and when frogs scream at me because it's scary.
What, you scream back?
Yeah, not to assert dominance, but just because I'm scared also.
After you said, I think that's what you're doing.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Have you ever seen me screaming and a frog screaming in the same room? I don't think so.
You make it sound like you are the frog that's screaming
maybe
as well.
I am.
Okay.
But I've also, so bullfrogs we talked about, we haven't seen.
Yeah.
I actually found out a fact about bullfrogs this morning. I wasn't looking, but I learned that bullfrogs don't have an REM sleep. Like they don't have a deep sleep cycle. They just don't. Even ants have like a deep sleep cycle, but
Really?
bullfrogs don't. They don't be sleeping. They be napping during the day, like super, super light sleep, but they don't have a full circadian rhythm like reset like everything else does.
So do they don't, so if bullfrogs don't dream?
Oh no, that's really sad. I didn't think about that.
Oh no.
I
Like
guess
when your dog dreams and his leg twitches a little bit, you just hear a bullfrog like in the marsh somewhere behind you. It's like, oh.
his like little legs are twitching in the water. He's swimming.
You just hear splashing.
Yeah, but I think it's so sad. But that's what I've seen here. What I've seen around in other places around here, like what we have in the area.
Yeah.
Besides those, we have northern leopard frogs, which I love. They're Lithobates rana pipiens.
What's a pipian?
It's the subspecies. We can talk about the difference between species and subspecies at some point because it's infuriating to everyone who's in a science field ever. But we don't have to talk about that today. There's rare Columbia Basin frogs too that we don't see, and there's western toads. I have never seen a toad in my life here in the state of Washington State.
Okay, what kind of toad was it?
Western toad.
Western toad.
Western toad. That's all. They're just little guys, and
They're
I've
kinda
never
like-
seen one.
They're kind of warty.
Well, yeah, it's a toad. So we can talk about the difference between frogs and toads now. Frogs have porous.
I don't like them.
You don't like the toad?
What's with the little bumps all over? Like, do they serve any purpose? Or is it
They're
just for like purely aesthetic?
I'm a frog. I'm being designed by God. He said, I need a little bit more spice. Puts bumps all over him.
This guy needs a little more bumps.
This guy needs to be bumpier. No, they're a lot of the time the bumps on toads are venom glands or poison glands.
Sorry, I just had like a totally off topic. Bumps on toads would be like an awesome. It's like
A band name?
A band name, yeah.
Oh. Coming to you next week, instead of Earworm Listening, we're going to be doing Bumps on Toads live music.
What kind of music would we play?
It's got to be country.
Yeah.
Bumps on Toads. That's country.
You don't think we could do like gangster rap or anything? Nothing
what
really like
would we rap about?
toads.
What?
Toads.
I think it would have to be country or nothing, but instead of instruments, it's frog screams and croaks just pitched differently.
That would be awful.
It'd be so
That would be
good.
so
Have you
bad.
heard that rap of there's a
So you just
frog?
reminded you of a rap. We could totally do a frog rap.
Okay. Well, you're right. But there's a video where there's a frog. It's a chorus frog. It's croaking at a very steady rhythm.
Yeah.
And then this person starts rapping and it's like fire. And then they start rapping in French with the frog. And I'm like,
I thought you were gonna
also,
say-
we're not going to talk about.
I thought they were gonna say they start rapping in frog.
No, they started rapping in French. It was very impressive.
I feel like a lot of this is probably gonna be an unpopular opinion. It's not one that I hold, but I've heard a lot of people say that they think like European rap, not
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
not English, because I've heard some like, you know, like English rap, and it's not
like
always the
from
best.
England.
Yeah, from England. But then there was like German and like
Yes.
French, even
like
Russian.
Euro beats, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Apparently that's pretty good. I feel like I've heard one or two songs like that, but they always just kind of, you know, the lyrics just go right over. my
Yeah,
head.
they're a little bit
I'm like,
like
this sounds amazing, but I don't know what they're saying.
it gives the same vibes of when you go to a like a marketplace or like a farmer's market in another country
and
and
you
they
just
have
hear the rap in the background of
They
the
have-
farmer's market.
they have shirts in English even though the country that they're hosted in does not speak English, and so they have
Oh.
shirts that say like fish paste, love yourself.
That's the same as when someone goes and gets like a tattoo,
tattoo,
in like
yeah.
a different language.
Yeah.
And do you think that they ask, like they tell the tattoo person like, hey, I want you to say like love, family, happiness, but then the tattoo person is like, oh, I got you, and then he just tattoos like butt, chicken, fart. Like,
Most definitely. Absolutely. Because they're making fun of the non-native like speakers of it. Like
Yeah.
most white people who get a tattoo in another language, especially like Japanese or an Asian language,
was about to
they're
say.
like they're all weebs or they're all weird and like I'm not saying so don't cancel me already on episode 1. But most of the people who do that are like appropriating it. So to get back at them, the
do you
tattoo
think that
artists
the
just say
tattoo artists
something.
have like a kind of like what the, I don't know if they take code like the ASL translators, if they have to interpret whatever like
I
the,
don't
the
think
person
so.
says into what it is in that language.
I don't
Do you
think
think
they
that
have
follow
to.
code? They're like whatever they request in this language, I have to do it. Or do you think they like a lot of them take a little bit of leeway?
I think they take
and they're
freedom
like,
because
"Oh,
there's
this would
not
be so much
direct
funnier."
translations to a lot of things.
Yeah, but I bet there's a, like for simple words, there's a lot of direct translation.
If you had to get a frog tattoo, what frog would you get tattooed and where?
Man, I don't know a lot of frog. You're gonna have to like give me a list of frogs and pictures.
Well, you've seen cool frog, like you've seen
frogs.
you've
with
seen
sunglasses.
you've seen the Pacific tree frogs, you've seen leopard frogs, bullfrogs, you've seen I'm sure you've seen poison dart frogs, like
That's
online
true. I don't know
and
if I want
stuff.
to do like I've never really been like someone who wants to get a tattoo. I think tattoos are cool on other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to get one. But if I did get one, I definitely wouldn't want to do a colored one. Because
right.
I'm pasty. and
Only a
that's-
little bit.
That'd stand out so much.
Yeah.
And so if I got like a poison dart frog, people would see it and they wouldn't recognize it as a
They'd be
poison
like,
dart
"What?
frog because it's just, you know, there's no
What is
color.
that?"
There's no like orange, like the purple is not colorful. They're just like, oh, frog. You know, they're not like poison dart frog. But I wouldn't want to do that one either way or anyway. I'd want to do probably a pretty generic looking frog, but I'd have them like doing something funny.
Like doing a kickflip or something on a skateboard.
That would be awesome. No, I was thinking, I was honestly thinking like a frog in like a toga with like a halo, and he's holding like a harp.
Like an angelic frog.
yeah.
You should take that a step further and do biblically accurate angel frog with like 7 wings and like eyes
Oh
everywhere.
my god! Or
and-
like the what is it?
like the wheel,
Wait, no,
the angel wheel from Ezekiel.
no. And I was thinking the Da Vinci, like he did the person on like the wheel. Like, but that is a frog. But
That
it'd be
is such a good
It'd be so
idea.
awful though, because it like with that one, it's the person, he's looking right at you, but it's a frog, so they don't have it, so they're just looking straight up.
Or you like break the frog's neck, so it is looking directly at
That'd
you.
be kind of threatening if
Only
you
a
ask
little
me.
bit.
I don't know. What were we talking about before tattoos and bangs?
Oh, the frogs that are in this area, which I
Oh yeah. What's like in your opinion the coolest Pacific Northwest frog?
I like the American bullfrog. It's invasive in a lot of places, but it is native here. So that it's always cool to see something that's like
Where's the bullfrog invaded?
like everywhere. There's American bullfrogs in Europe, there's American bullfrogs in Asia, I'm pretty sure. They just
You know what I'm curious? I get how things are invasive
Boats.
and yeah, like boats, like they're transferred there, but who is transferring these frogs?
they're not paying attention that frogs are stowaways.
So
I'm serious.
They're illegal.
This is a real thing. Geckos especially. This is lizards and not snakes, but lizards are like the number one
Well, yeah, because
invaders.
lizards are like they're really quick and they can fit into like small
and they're
spaces.
little, yeah,
they're
and
little,
they
yeah, they're
can
quick.
drop their tails and stuff. And
Yeah,
they
but
can just...
frogs, you think like if you saw some deckhand loading some cargo, he'd see like a
Hey, man.
massive bullfrog hopping down the ramp, and he'd be like, "Hey, that guy's
that
not
frog
supposed to
off
be here." They're
here.
not like Mission Impossible, like swimming up to the boat and then like slipping up the side
Well, a
of
lot
it.
of the times they just don't care, or they're not paid enough to like take this frog off the boat. It's like he can live there. Boats are gross. They have like rats and
Yeah, okay, but
mice.
here's the
and-
thing. I'm not
bugs.
like a bad person. Like I don't abuse animals or do anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. But if I was a deckhand and I was loading something on a boat and I was going up and down the ramp and I saw a big old bullfrog
Mm-hmm.
sitting on the ramp, I would just like kick it with my foot off the
No,
ramp.
not into the salt water.
Well, I would imagine I'm in. Well, they don't live on the coast. They're
Not saltwater animals.
That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't be on the coast. How did they get on these boats?
They're in Florida.
Yeah, but you just said they invaded
Oh,
Florida.
I know what you're saying.
I guess they could have gone like up and down the Columbia River.
Hmm.
Does the Columbia River connect to the Mississippi River?
I have no idea.
Oh God.
Probably not.
Let's look it up.
But yeah. But I mean, they also aren't that massive. Even when they metamorphose, like they're still small for a while until they grow up into adults.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like bullfrog, like you know the size of a bullfrog tadpole. It's like golf ball sized.
Yeah.
Bullfrogs, when they're full grown, are much bigger than golf ball sized.
Oh yeah, they're like hamburger plus. basically.
Hamburger plus sized. But when they first metamorphose from a tadpole into a frog, they shrink a little bit from being tadpole sized because all those nutrients are being redistributed and the muscles and stuff shift and everything.
Yeah.
So they come out once they're fully metamorphosed, like they've reabsorbed all their tail, they're a little bit smaller than they were as a tadpole, and then they continue to grow.
So it's possible to find a bullfrog that's like
Little.
itty
Yeah.
bitty?
Yeah.
How would you know it's a bull? I guess by the look of it.
Yeah, they have very significant, I don't know what they call them. They're large spots behind their ears. They're like ear spots, I think they call them. They're behind their eyes.
I can't. I'm not doing a very deep search, but I cannot find if the
Columbia River
goes
connects to the
into
Mississippi. You saw plenty of frogs along the Columbia River, though. Did you not? When you
Oh
were...
yeah, no, okay, so in Frenchman's Bar, I went down there just
It's
for like
not a
a
bar,
little.
it's a park.
It's a park, yeah. Is it a state park or I think it's Frenchman's Bar.
Regional. It's a regional park.
Yeah, but I went down there just to do like a little like hot dog burger thing with some friends, and while I was there, it was still pretty hot, but it was getting to the point where like it was starting to get cold, like starting to get really cold, and there was this little pool in the middle of this big grass field. And it was like a really gross looking pool, you know, like it's kind of like mucky and swampy. And in it or around it, I guess me and my friends, we noticed them first. There were these like itty bitty frogs. They were like dime sized frogs. They looked like tropical because they were like that really bright green, kind of like that chair.
Yeah.
Like they're really
you can't see
green.
the chair, but we can.
It was like a lime green frog. And we found one and we were like, oh, look, a little frog. You don't see frogs every day, huh? And then we like put it down and then we walked a few feet and we're like, wait, there's another one. And there's another. And we found this pool and there were like dozens of them in this pool. And I guess like why are, I mean, I guess it's like a good place, you know, for them to reside at. But like, why are they there? What type of frog are they? And what makes like, why are they going to grow anymore? Or are they just going to stay this like
Yeah,
itty
so
bitty frog?
those would be juvenile or baby of the Pacific Northwest tree frogs. So when they're tadpoles, they're like thumbtack size, like they're tiny, and then they metamorphose and they're a little bit smaller than that, so they come out like teeny tiny.
Okay.
And then as they eat and as they develop, I would assume that they're by that pond or whatever mucky puddle, because
it was like the diameter of like a basketball.
Yeah, so that type of still water like that attracts mosquitoes and mosquito larvae, which is an excellent source of food for a growing tadpole and a young adult frog. So most likely they were laid in that puddle when it was more pudless, when it was bigger.
Yeah.
And then they had metamorphosed out, and
Well, that's the thing. I don't think this puddle would have been any bigger at any point.
No, you don't think so?
No, because all the area around it was much higher. I mean, much. That's like a very loose term. But it was flat. And there was no like little divots or anything. This area would not have gotten any water.
They could have.
And it hadn't rained previously.
Why was there water there then? Hose water. Someone like
dumped
you
their,
at a
their
barbecue
cooler.
dumped their cooler out.
I didn't have I actually was like very underprepared. I didn't tell you this, did
Yeah,
I?
you were super underprepared.
I was super underprepared for that. We didn't have tongs, so I ended up just having to go to like a tree and break off 2 branches to turn the hot dogs on the barbecue.
Wow.
And I know that there's something else that we forgot. Oh, we forgot plates. And we didn't, so we were just putting the hot dogs in cups. But we couldn't fit all of them. Like you couldn't bun up this dog and then put it in a cup with like 4 other dogs. So
That's
you
so
just had
sad.
like a cup of wieners and then like the bag of buns. And then like half the people just we went down there pretty early, so like half the people didn't come, and we were like, oh, we should just go.
And then there
somewhere
were
else.
mosquitoes.
And then there was mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Which I guess would have helped the
Yeah,
frogs.
there are a lot of. You'd be so surprised at like how little water frogs actually are around. Because if you think about it, like the Columbia River, I know it's moving fast water, but that's like a lot of fresh water.
Yeah, you don't see a frog hopping in the Columbia.
No, it's there's too many predators and
Sucked
stuff.
away.
Yeah. So they usually pick, I mean, sometimes they don't even rely on like bodies of water. They'll just chill out somewhere where there's a
damp.
lot of rain or it's damp, or they love when you have big mats or like big pieces of tin out, because once it rains, that moisture gets stuck and doesn't evaporate out.
Yeah.
They don't need water anymore once they've metamorphosed. They
Oh, they don't.
no.
They can just be a loose frog.
Yeah. They need moisture, but that can come in the form of like dew under logs where precipitation gets stuck. They don't, as long as their bodies can stay moist, because they have that mucous membrane, as long as their bodies stay moist, they don't need bodies of water. What they do need bodies of water for is laying their eggs. So that's why you see a lot more small frogs and
Yeah.
like baby frog, or like seldom few adults. That's why you see frogs around water. It's because they need water to breed.
Okay, I guess. So the bullfrogs that invade other countries, apparently, they so how do they make it from like point A to point B? First of all, without being spotted by the crew. Let's say they're going to like Japan. Did you
Right.
see that's one of the places you listed. They're going to
That
Japan.
is not one of the places
I
I
thought you
listed.
did.
No.
I have a false memory of that. They're going to Asia. You said that, didn't you? They're going to Asia. First off, how did the crew not see these bullfrogs? These big bullfrogs
So,
just sitting somewhere.
Juvenile bullfrogs, not adults.
So
Golf
are
ball
the-
sized. This is
Okay.
a hard concept for you to
I
grasp.
don't know why it is. It's just like how would you not notice that?
Girl, there's probably like 100 bugs in this room that you don't notice.
I don't know.
They
think about
hide.
that.
They hide and they're good at hiding.
They're hiding behind the Walter White drawing.
Yeah.
They're just chilling out. Okay,
You're
are they
real hung up
different?
on that.
Are they different? Have they like evolved since they've been there? I guess it's not like a long enough time. Well, no, because
There's rapid evolution.
yeah, there's rapid evolution, but like, have they changed? Are they different now? Are they like the Asian American or
No,
Asian
they're not.
Northwest
They
bullfrog?
haven't diversified enough to be a new species.
They
They're
still
just
breed?
there. Well, it's like how there's cane toads everywhere. Cane toads are native to one of the islands way out tropical wise. It's not Australia or Hawaii, but they are in both of those places
Yeah.
because they're invasive. I do love me a cane toad. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know they're invasive, but they are so silly. But like if they're from this tropical island, like obviously they're not gonna settle in the PNW where we are located.
Yeah.
So they're gonna settle somewhere.
They probably want somewhere warm.
Yeah. So even if they get brought on a ship or a plane or whatever into other areas where it's not suitable for them, they're just not going to survive.
Gonna airdrop all these cane toads.
It's like you're calling in an airstrike.
Release them! Release the frogs!
The nuclear launch codes, but it's only frogs.
God. Oh no, there's a nuclear war about to happen, and they give the president, like, Mr. President, you need to put in the codes to launch the nukes, and he types in the codes and he sends them off, and they look at each other and they're like, oh no, that was the wrong briefcase. That was the frog briefcase.
That was the frog codes.
All of a sudden frogs just start erupting from everywhere.
They start leaking out of the ceiling. Oh man.
No. But I don't know why. I think it's because I have an easier time believing that these frogs were brought over to these places intentionally instead of being stowaway.
That too. That's a big part of it as well, because the exotic pet trade, especially like back in the day before they knew invasive species could establish themselves, people were bringing monkeys and tigers and like the weirdest stuff that they found in quote unquote exotic places. They'd like.
Do you think that monkeys could survive in the Pacific Northwest?
No, it's too cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Aren't there's monkeys in Japan who survive in like
in the ice you're thinking of?
Yeah. Well, how is that different?
A lot of the time,
because it gets cold there and they can. I guess I'm thinking of
who's
the ones
bringing those monkeys here now.
No
one.
Zoos.
No.
They're not like important monkeys.
There's
got to be like one. It would only take. I was thinking about.
It would take two, first of all.
Well, no. I meant like.
Do
one,
I need to explain this to you?
One person to do this.
Right.
But I had this thought the other day because Hawaii, I learned, is they're really strict on like what you bring in and out of it because they don't want any invasive
They have
species.
so many. Everything that you see in Hawaii that you just see is invasive. Every lizard, every.
Oh, is it? I thought it was because they don't. Well, I know that's
because it's
probably
a suitable
reason.
habitat.
But they also don't want new things coming in. Like I heard that if there's no snakes in Hawaii. Apparently.
Correct.
So if you bring in a snake, they'll have like a manhunt for it. They'll kill it. They get rid of the snake. I was thinking about that. I was like, do you know how? I mean, I say easy if you had a little bit of money, but you know how easy it would be to like totally screw over like a place just in bringing in invasive species. Like, can you imagine if someone? So I don't know how they do it, but say they got like 30 gorillas, and they because this is my
theoretical
Planet of the Apes knowledge coming into play here. Imagine they got like 30 gorillas or chimps,
right? And
they brought them to California, and they didn't tell anyone, and then they just released them into the woods. Like, do you think that I think that would? I think they could stick around for a little bit.
I think that they could. It would definitely take a large starting population, like the 30 or whatever. Yeah. But there's so many other aspects that keep them from establishing themselves. Like they need proper temperature or whatever, which.
Do you think they'd have jet lag?
Yeah. They got off the plane and they're like, whoa!
Oh man, it's the middle. I'm so drowsy right now.
I think.
Oh my god! And then they evolved to be only nocturnal chimps.
But there's so many other. There's access to food. There's what kind of food. There's what species they're competing for food with. There's predators. Yeah. Like there's
you have
so
to
many.
Like a handbook on the area.
Yeah, it would take a lot more effort to intentionally establish an invasive species than to just kind of like throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Well,
like just bring a bunch of random stuff.
But if you're bringing like a species would thrive, like snakes. Like if you brought
a snake to Hawaii, yes.
We're gonna be like on a watch list for the state of Hawaii
very easily.
But no, like say you had like 200 snakes, right, from other tropical places in the world, and then you just flew over Hawaii and just dropped the snakes.
If they survive.
No one. Yeah, well, I mean, imagine you drop low or something,
right.
or you lay down and
they give them little parachutes.
Yeah, give them little parachutes, or you somehow get them on the ground.
Big slip and slide.
You get them on the ground safe, right? One, it'd be time before anyone really realized.
Right.
Two, there's tons of tourists, and so even if like the tourists saw snakes, they wouldn't really think too much of it. They'd be like, oh, Hawaiian snake, you know. And then like when the government actually caught on, they wouldn't know how many snakes there are.
So that is almost exactly what happened in Florida with Burmese pythons. They brought them in from Asia, not to be invasive, but to breed them for the exotic pet trade.
Yeah.
They brought them from Asia. They brought huge breeding populations. They set up these huge industrial like breeding facilities for exotic pet trade. And then the freaking hurricanes happened, destroyed the breeding facilities, and then these like 12, 15 foot, 20 foot Burmese pythons that were already breeding in this population are now introduced to, oh, it's humid, oh, it's jungle, it's very similar to Asia's climate. They only have to adapt slightly because it gets slightly colder. And then they're just...
Do you think that they're thriving
They are
more in Florida than they are in Asia?
They have no natural predators in Florida. So yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna look up largest python found in Asia.
It's going to give you either Burmese or a reticulated python.
Let's do Burmese.
Or a cobra, depending. Oh, you said python, though.
Yeah. Let's see. Because...
It's going to give you Burmese or it's going to give you retic.
Okay. What do you think is... where do you think like the larger python was found? In Asia or in Florida?
I'm going to say Florida because no natural predators.
Okay, I guess it was pretty close. But yeah, it is Florida. It was a 19-foot long.
19.
Oh yeah, Burmese python. And look at the picture of these two guys who found it. They're just like, hey, look at this little funny guy.
Look at this big snake. Yeah, but in invasive species are... A lot of the times you'll see stuff that's a lot hardier invade. So you see lots of snakes, lots of lizards. You don't see a huge amount of mammals, and you don't see hardly any amphibians that
That's because they're so
invasive. They're so
like
sensitive.
region specific.
Yeah, they need a lot more.
Is that because they're cold blooded, the reptiles and lizards and snakes and stuff?
Yeah, because reptiles and amphibians have a natural cool down process. So when it gets to winter time, like they get colder. It's called brumation. Brumation. It's different than hibernation, but also they always flip-flop between wanting to call it hibernation and not. But what I've learned is it's called brumation.
Oh yeah, because okay, so maybe this isn't for snakes, but we were talking about this earlier. Frogs dig.
Yes, they do.
How do they dig?
They dig to brumate. So a lot of toads actually have what's called a spade foot.
Yeah.
Which on their back foot is like literally like a little shape of a shovel, and they just go to town. They dig. So usually they'll dig holes in mud and soil that's already under something.
Okay.
Some do it underwater, and I don't know the exact.
That's so interesting. You think that the ones underwater would drown?
Yeah, I don't know the exact parameters
They, like,
on why
seal it
that's a
up.
thing.
Make a little bunker. This is my safe spot. I'm at the
little
bottom of the river.
frog.
No one's getting me.
A little frog, Lost City of Atlantis situation.
My God.
That's what it is.
Somewhere at the bottom of the river, there's like hundreds of frogs just buried who never could get out.
And their cities are covered in gold and riches. But instead, because they're frogs, they don't know what riches are. It's like fishing lures and like plastic.
It's really awful stuff.
It's
like a
gross.
handgun that
It's
someone threw in the river for a murder.
There's a shopping cart.
There's a shopping cart. They're like, this is our holy grail. Look at how big it is.
I mean, despite like how much water pollution there is, frogs are kind of doing okay. Like rainwater is typically pretty okay for them, and a lot of natural parks and stuff will have either running water that's not contaminated or outlets of water that's not contaminated or below levels that the frogs need to survive. So like despite the fact that amphibians are so sensitive, like if you pick one up for too long, the oils on your fingers will like mess up their skin really bad.
Because they got like a nice coating.
Yeah, they've got their mucous membrane slime coat.
How many times do you think you see that twice so far?
Mucous membrane. We
That's
have
30.
mucous membranes. We have them in our eyes and our ears and our nose and our buttholes.
Dude, I
But it's true. That's why we stay moist.
don't want to think about that. That's not why I stay moist.
No, shut up. But
All right, what's like the what do you think it's like the best frog place to live in? Because you said that they don't need water, like they don't need a
jungles,
body of
tropical.
water.
That's why we have a lot of frogs here, despite the climate not at first really seeming frog friendly. Like it's colder here, blah blah blah. But we are a temperate rainforest. Like rainforest.
Well, yeah, Washington is like one of the few places in the world that
It's
has, like,
the only temperate rainforest.
No, that has like every
biome. Yeah.
Oh, it's called Washington, a Minecraft seed. That's what we got. Got every biome in it.
Oh, Minecraft, Washington, Minecraft.
So why do frogs? So I'm assuming that they go back into the water then to either burrow or to catch food.
Right.
So.
Or to breed.
Or to breed, yeah.
To lay their eggs. Sometimes toads will get so vigorous with breeding, and frogs, they do it like everything else does it. Just use your imagination. And sometimes the males will grab onto the females so hard and not let go for so long that they drown them. Or vice versa. The females will...
The animal kingdom's a little rough out there.
Yeah, the females will hold on to the males for so long that they drown the males. That happens.
So what do they just like catch them off guard? They're like, come here, and then they're like, they don't get a full breath of air.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, I've seen a
Dude,
trio.
it's a tough world being a frog.
I've seen a trio of cane toads in Hawaii, one stacked on top of another in the pond. They were all drowning.
They were
all attached to each other, and they were all drowning.
That's dedication to the
craft.
To the grind.
It's
I'd rather drown than not get laid.
Frogs and toads are also, most amphibians are a quantity over quality species. So they'll have like 100 eggs and like half of them will make it to hatching, and then...
Well, that's like a size thing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the bigger the or like the bigger the animal, like the smaller amount it reproduces.
Right.
Yeah.
So like super large species of frogs, I would assume like African pixie frog, I think is the largest species of frog in the world.
I was just about to ask you, like, what's the largest?
I'm pretty sure it's the African pixie frog. They get massive, like bigger than dinner plate. Like they're great.
The Goliath frog.
Oh, that's the one.
How would you forget the Goliath frog?
I think African... It's so funny because I had a book on frogs when I was a child, and that one was in there saying, it's the largest frog. I forgot.
You and I had like very different childhood books. You had like the freaking frog encyclopedia.
You were out here reading A to Z Mysteries,
no, I was out
Magic
reading,
Treehouse.
like Skippy John Jones.
Yes. No, I spent too much of my time as a child just buried in books memorizing facts, but apparently I didn't memorize hard enough because I forgot the Goliath frog.
Look at this guy. Look at him. He's just so contempt.
That is a photoshopped image. Aaron just showed me a photoshopped image of an African white tree frog on the table in front of some guy.
You know, it might not have been photoshopped. It could have just, he was really close to the lens.
It could have been forced perspective, so the frog was close to the lens, the person was far away.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't know. I like the idea of him being that big.
Just a big frog. I mean, African, or not African, the Australian whites do get pretty, I mean, they get like, what's that? Like small hamburger, like Wendy's biggie bag sized junior cheeseburger.
Why are we
Americans will use anything but the metric system for measuring.
Okay, so how interesting of an idea would that be? Like, it is, as long as you keep eating something, or like you keep eating, like you just get larger and larger.
A lot of that is the case with a lot of snakes.
Oh,
like if you have two baby snakes that you power feed, like one you feed more frequently larger meals, one you feed less, they grow at like insanely different rates. Even if you're not starving the younger one, like if it's getting the proper amount of nutrition, if you power feed the heck out of one of them, it'll like double the size.
So isn't that it's that way with crocodiles and alligators?
It is,
too,
yeah. If you power feed a crocodile, they can get overweight really quickly though, because they have fat stores in their tails.
Yeah, big chunky crocodiles are really funny to see. Well, okay, so if that was true for, let's say it's true for like every animal and reptile and lizard and whatnot, what do you think would be like the, I don't know, the funniest or like the best thing
to get that big
to see get like perpetually larger?
I would have to say like a skink.
A what?
Like a skink.
What is this?
Lizard. Those other lizards that have very, very, very small legs. People theorize that they're starting to like evolutionarily lose their legs, because there are legless lizards that are not snakes. That's like a thing.
God, they really got the short end of the stick.
They did, but
as far as evolution goes.
people are thinking skinks are
How
starting
did
to
the
lose
ones
their
without
legs.
like longer legs? How do they breed? They just like, oh man, that guy's got nubs. I want him. Like that's the one for me.
I don't know. They just stopped needing them. But skinks are one that I'd love to see get just ginormous because proportionally their legs are so small. You see them when they're small and you're like, oh, he's got cute little legs. But if you saw a massive one with these teeny tiny legs, it would be so much funnier.
I'll just show you. I was actually last night. I was drawing. I watched the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and I was drawing the really fat dragon. There's a really fat dragon in it, and I was drawing it. And it was really funny. And it had just little stubby legs that I just kind of pushed around and rolled around on. But no, that's open to like any animal you would choose the stink.
Yeah. The skink.
Oh, the
SKINK.
The skink.
The stink. The stink lizard.
I don't know. I think it'd be really funny to see. Imagine like an elephant-sized armadillo.
Armadillos are cool. I
Armadillos
like
are so
armadillos.
cool. That would be really fun to see.
They
or like, oh my
carry-
god, like a horse-sized squirrel.
I hate squirrels.
Yeah, aren't they really invasive?
Yeah, the squirrels that we have around here, the gray squirrels, are not our native squirrel, and they're everywhere, and they reproduce quickly,
They're
and
cute.
I don't like them.
Well,
I think
you
they're
can take that
gross.
up with the gray squirrel.
I will. Every time I see a gray squirrel, I make sure to make eye contact with it and say, "You're not supposed to be here.
Oh my god.
You don't
And
belong
you run up to it and you
here.
grab it. And
You
throw
don't
it into the
belong
road.
here." But yeah, I mean that's the kind of bummer thing about the Pacific Northwest is we have a really interesting climate and we have like no interesting animals to go
What are
in
you
it.
talking about?
Like, I mean, we just don't have a variety. Like,
I
we
guess
have
it's kinda-
like
it's like
3
the-
species of snakes that are here.
Oh well, you're all about
I am.
cold-blooded stuff.
But like we just don't have. I guess I'm comparing it to like tropical, which isn't super fair. But even that, I feel like we kind of have.
Well, that's what happens. We
lame
don't
guys.
have like a specialty. You know.
Yeah.
We got all the different biomes, so
Yeah.
nothing's like really run rampant.
Jack of all trades, master of none, better than a master of one.
Yeah.
But actually not, because jack of all trades means that we don't specialize.
You know what? I think it'd be really cool if we had another. Well, I mean, it'd be like kind of scary at the same time, but if we had another very large predator.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a big cat type or like a
Big cat would be kind of cool.
cougar squared, cougar 2.
The liger, we have that here.
Yeah,
No, I don't know, because like grizzly bears.
yeah.
Like we have bears, we have
We
brown
do.
bears and black bears. We don't have grizzly bears though.
No, we do not.
You know what we do have, which I wish there were more of, like in the southern part of the state.
Bobcats,
Moose.
moose.
They're the northern part.
I'm scared of a moose.
I was camping one time in Idaho and I had one run through my campsite, and it
I would
was a baby one,
scream.
and it was still like it was still much larger than
That's
a horse.
terrifying.
And my friends that I was with got really mad at me because I was like trying to run after it because I wanted to take pictures of it.
If baby's there, mama's close
I
behind.
know. I had that thought maybe like 50 yards into the run, and I was like, oh, maybe I should turn around.
Do you
and
know
go
what
back
to
camp.
do if you're being charged by a moose?
I love hypothetical.
Do you know? But do you know what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, you're supposed to just stand there and
No.
scream at it, right?
Wrong.
What do you do?
You're supposed to climb a tree.
Oh,
Or
well,
climb
yeah, I could-
something.
that was my
Well, you're
next
not supposed to
step.
do that for like bears or cougar because they can climb better than
Yeah.
you can.
You know how terrifying it would be if you
And a
climbed a tree, you
moose?
see a moose climbing after you.
I would just let him have me. I would just fall off the tree and let the moose do what he wants.
Oh god, there was a movie that I saw when I was younger. It was about 3 brothers who run away from home to make wildlife documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the little arcs of the movie, they went to Alaska and they were filming moose, and this big bull moose like charges them and picks up one of the
No.
kids like in the antlers and is just like kind of throwing
I
him
would
around.
hate that.
It was a really fun watch, but I've never actually been able to find what movie that was.
I'm scared of.
But no,
Moose.
my thing is, I thought about this a lot, and it comes to maybe not like cats, you know, like cougars and whatnot, but maybe for a bear, maybe. I think almost definitely it would work for a moose. Is imagine you find yourself in this situation. There's a predator. It sees you. You see it. It starts making its way towards you, and to your right is a big tree. How long do you think it would take of like hopping around this tree, like stalling for this animal to lose interest.
like Ring Around the Rosie.
Yeah.
I
think I could do it for like hours if it came to that.
I think I could do it for like 30 minutes and then be like, this is going nowhere.
Just kill me.
Yeah, just totally accept it.
But do you think it would work? I think it would work for a moose. I think it would definitely work.
I think it would work for a moose.
But it has to be a big enough tree.
I don't think it would
just,
work.
like bust through trees. Like
Yeah,
small ones.
it would have to be like a fat red cedar.
Yeah, that's
But,
what I was thinking.
Speaking of, this just reminded me, frogs a lot of the time will like roost in trees. They'll like
I've never seen a frog
in the bark of like a
around
Doug
here.
fir, they will literally wedge themselves up in the crevices and they'll just live there because bugs are attracted to the sap and bugs live on trees all the time and they have really good shelter. It's like people be sleeping on the real estate that is the trunk of a Doug fir.
Can you imagine you go to climb a tree in the middle of the woods and you start going up it and then you put a handful, you grab a part and you just hear like the scream.
Just like it. Oh man.
I'd probably let go. I'd be terrified.
I would also let go, but I think that our the potential solution to the fact that there's so many frogs getting run over on campus
What do you think the solution would be to fix that?
to ride the golf cart slower.
Yeah, but you can be going slow. Imagine the frog just hops out that's survival of the fittest.
That's true. I mean, compared to
we're killing off all the dumb frogs.
we're killing off the ones that they don't want to give a proper burial. The amount of frogs that do get run over is very small compared to the amount of frogs that we have like on campus, but just
Oh yeah, for every like one frog that we see dead, it probably had
like 20 or 30.
There's probably there's like a whole family of frogs looking
Yeah.
at him from the bushes, like, oh, that was
Our son.
he was 2 weeks away from retiring.
Yeah, but I mean, just watch your step, watch where you're going. Don't try to step on things. But I think based on what I've heard of Croaked, I think that the frogs are honestly doing better than the students here.